welcome home. This is the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. Come right this way. Have a seat with me today in the corner booth celebrating our 105th week. Sweeney, clear that floor. Katie, bar the door. Molly, put on another pot of Irish coffee and bring out the Irish dancers. It's time we get this show on the road. We've got another full house today, not a chair to spare. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host, and you can reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com, and be sure to check out the written show notes on my blog. There's a lot of things there you can click on, I'll be talking about, and you can go to the original sources and go right to their webpage just by clicking, because I can't spend an hour just trying to read off these complicated web addresses each week. I'm lucky to get as far as I do right now, you know it. And that reminds me to tell you to phone 816-256-3360 with any comments or ideas, or if you'd like to leave a little interview, I can play that on there and get it on the next podcast. Try it, you'll like it. And among today's topics, what do we have? Number 1, the Irish family name of the week is Byrne. Number 2, special on the Chicago Irish. Number 3, book of the month is Families of Clanna Rory. Number 4, pink license plates in Dublin. Number 5, the Irish video of the day is Return to Irish Roots 1984. Number 6, the cheapest pint in Ireland is where exactly? And number 7, the web page of the week is Searchable Passenger Lists. And number 8, convicts to Australia and New South Wales. That reminds me to tell you, I've got 5 podcast feeds altogether, 4 different shows. We've got this one right here, which is the Irish Roots Cafe, Genealogy and History. And we have an enhanced version of this where you hear the same thing, but it puts pictures up on the screen, and you can actually even click links on those pictures to go places if I've had enough time to put those links in those pictures, and that makes it sort of fun and new. And we have the Irish in America podcast, and the Irish Song and Recitation Festival, and the Irish Roots Cafe videos. And that's enough to keep me busy, so I just don't know which one I'm going to do yet, and which one I'm going to update next, but I've got a couple of the Irish songs ready to go, so as soon as I get a minute, folks, I'll be doing it. I've had you emailing me asking to get that out quick, and I'm sure going to do it just as fast as I can. And let me see, what was I going to... Well, let's just move on to notes for the week. Hey, you know what? We've got a lot of things going on, and the notes this week will reflect that. First, I wanted to give a shout-out to a couple of the folks, well, just in the last couple of days... who were they? Well, I can remember Boron Babe was one, and Damien in Belfast. They heard the podcast for the first time and gave me a shout-out, so it's a shout-out right back to you now. I sure am glad to hear you, and I'd like to know when anybody's listening, and go ahead and shoot me an email. That's good, and I think, one of them got a hold of me on MySpace, and the other one got a hold of me on Facebook. I was trying to decide if I could keep one of those services and drop the others, but everything seems to be splitting down the middle these days. Well, now let's get to the formal notes for the week. Now, I told you about our 4 other podcasts, so if you're for some reason, a whole bunch of people here around St. Patrick's Day jump into this podcast. So just remember again, I've got 4 different series, and if you're interested in Irish things, you might like one of those too, so be sure to check that out. You can find them on my webpage, and you can also find them on iTunes as well. Number 2, I'm just finishing up our very first DVD project. It's been a lot of fun learning how to put a DVD together, I'll tell you that. And I decided it contains our first video of Ireland from an Ireland group trip I took over there in the 1980s. And it includes episodes from our audio podcast to give everybody an idea of what's going on. And hey, a matter of fact, this DVD would make a good gift, wouldn't it? And we also included 7 of our videos with genealogy tips on them. So You get plenty in there. And now that first one's done, I know much better how I'm going to proceed with our next 3 DVDs or CDs as they go. And maybe I should hire a publicist or a wardrobe expert. I know I need one of those. And of course, I should be sure to shoot in the afternoon and not the early morning when I'm still waking up. I'm just a little bit slow then. But that's the way it goes, and you got to take your first step, and then you make a trip of 1,000 miles. Number 3, we were recently featured by Colleen Kelm, editor and designer of the Irish Genealogical Society of Michigan newsletter, The Irish Tree. She emailed and wanted to know if she could put our masthead up there and use it as an example and talk about some podcasts. I said sure, and she did it, and she sure puts out a nice little newsletter, so be sure to look that up if you're interested. You can just type a search in there for the Genealogical Society of Michigan. I know it'll come up. Let's move to number 4, the Canadian Irish Magazine. Well, that's the name of the thing, and it's relaunched. There's a new name. Let me see. It says formerly called the Toronto Irish News. It's now named Irish Connections Canada. And it says copies are being sent to Irish Cultural Society of Ireland members and the Ireland-Canada Chamber of Commerce, just for starters. And what do you know? It's run by somebody with a name that sounds like O'Laughlin. Of course, they have no H in that name. And, boy, it looks like it's spelled a little different. And they've got roots in Ennistimon, County Clare. And we have no proven relationship yet, except we all know that every O'Laughlin in Clare is related at one point or another. And I think I met this fellow 30 years ago, right when I was first starting up in the 80s. I'm just sure I did, and I think I met his dad over there in Ennistimon. There was a shop, a little clothes shop, and another shop next to it. I just remember that real well, so I dropped him an email. Hope he gets back to me. Well, that'll do it for the notes for the week. We've had all kinds of things happening here, and of course, being St. Patrick's Day, I had to put out my earlier blog on there's no such thing as Irish family tartans, and that's a fact, and I've looked at it for 30 years. There is no such thing as Irish family tartans, so don't be taken in. If you like tartans like I do, you can go ahead and get them and keep them and like them, but remember, they're not tied historically to your family in Ireland. That's just a fact. Well, let's move on now to the book of the month. Well, the book of the month this month is going to be the Clanna Rory, and I'll have a link to that on the blog. And here we talk about the history of the many families of the Clanna Rory, or the Rudricians, and it's compiled from the ancient records in the libraries of Trinity College, the Royal Irish Academy, and many others by Richard F. Cronelli. And boy, there's too many names for me to list them all. I'll put them all on the blog, 30 or 40 of them. They're the major families that were researched for this work, and it comes from, back in 1864 or so in Ireland. And it's names like McGuinness and Cronelli and Dugan and Moran and Lennon and Cashin and Lynch, O'Connor Carey and O'Connor Cork, OLaughlin Byrne, O'Kiley McShanley, O'Farrell, O'Roddy McCormick McDorchy Rogers, Drennan, O'Quinn and Mulvey. And those are just a few examples, so it's a pretty good book. Now, compared to Milesian Families, that other book I reprinted from the 1800s, this book has fewer families in it, but it has more information per family as a rule, so that'd give you a little hint there. And I think you'll like it if you like those old works, some of the very first general genealogy works printed in Ireland, way back when the country was just able to get back up from being knocked down for so long, and they had a big explosion of Celtic pride. Well, let me see. What do we got coming up? Oh, the cheapest pint in Ireland is found where? Perhaps you have some friends just coming back from Ireland that might know because they toured the island trying just to find out. And if they came back broke, well, they didn't find it. Hey, and what about Angel Cabs I've been hearing about in Dublin? We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But now, you know what time it is? It's time to raise our eyes skywards, give thanks, and ask for help. Here are today's Magnificent Seven. Number 1, new member Joseph Harrison of Aston, Pennsylvania, researching County Louth for Byrne, Campbell, Warren, and maybe Cooney. Also, Kinney family of unknown origins. I tell you what, Joseph, your County Fermanagh and Louth genealogy book has shipped. Number 2, Thomas Rainey of Newcastle upon Tyne in the UK. The Fall of Irish Chiefs and Clans has shipped. Number 3, Right On McCallum or Wrighton McCallum. That's a fine name, Wrighton, right on. I tell you what, I've never seen that name before. But Wrighton McCallum of Columbia, South Carolina, your Irish Book of Arms genealogy book has shipped. Number 4, Pamela Moore of Park Forest, Illinois, your County Antrim and Belfast book has shipped. Janet Schradel of Hinckley, Ohio, your Families of County Kerry, Ireland book has shipped. Ruth Turner of Vienna, Virginia, your 7 Irish Families County books have shipped. And you know what? I think that makes you the customer of the day. Our best patron of the week. And number 7, the last of the Magnificent Seven, Christopher Mack of Alameda, California, your Kings and Queens County genealogy book has shipped. And you know, that reminds me to say thank you to each and every one of you out there who are a member, or if you're getting ready to, please do consider it, because without you, I couldn't do the podcast, couldn't keep the lights turned on. You know what I mean? And that's about the only support I've got, the books and the memberships. That's it. And we're trying to add some things on that membership and move over to a new web page. It'll be a month or two, but we've got some plans there. And I just wanted to say thank you and keep those cards and letters coming. Now it's time to move on to the Irish family name of the day. Well, the Irish family name of the day is Byrne, and that's spelled Byrne, and that's in honor of one of the Magnificent Seven today, and that would be Joseph Harrison. And you know, there's all kinds of variations on the spelling of that name. You can have a Mac in front of it or a O in front of it, so it's Mac Byrne or O Byrne. And you can spell it with a U in the middle, like B-U-R-N, or B-Y-R-N-E-Y, Bernie, and it can be shortened to Byrne. There's too many to list, but we found these in the Master Guide to the Spellings of Irish Family Names, and hope that will help you there. Got a link to that book on the webpage, and it's found in variant spelling groups number 102, 197, 206, 207, 1233, and 2122. And you know what? I think that sets a record for variant spelling groups here on the Irish Roots Cafe podcast. That's 6 variant spelling groups, which means you got to be very careful when you're researching this name, because there's a lot of interchanging going on, and you got to keep your eyes open. Well, let's take a look now at the history of the name. Well, this is a name that's prominent throughout Irish history. If you've taken a look at Irish history, you'll know that. And the family is normally found in the province of Leinster in Ireland, and it's the 7th most common name in all of Ireland, so that sort of tells you there's also several people that started that name out, and they're not related. And like I said, that makes it much harder to trace your family at times. And you're going to find that several completely unrelated families use the name, and that's both in Ireland and America. So, you know, that makes DNA testing very, very interesting for members of the Byrne family. It could put a lot of questions to rest. And we also note that Byrne is found listed in the census of 1659 as a principal name of Carlow, as well as in counties Louth, Meath, Queens, and Wexford. And there's more there, but I'll have to leave that out today. We've just got a limited amount of time. But here's some published materials. The O'Byrnes and Their Descendants, that was published in Dublin in 1879, and The History of Clan O'Byrne and Other Septs by Reverend P.L. O'Toole, published in Dublin in 1890. I had a fella give me a copy of that book, a Xerox copy. They were done with it, and they said, here, you might be able to put it to use, and I've had it ever since, and that's a nice little book. That was a big old thing, I think. Now, if we turn to the Irish Book of Arms and see if they've got a coat of arms, well, sure they do, and that's even into modern times. And well, here's the description for one of their arms I found. It says, "Guiles, a chevron between three dexter hands, cooped at the wrist, argent. Crest, a mermaid with comb and mirror proper." Well, you got a mermaid in there. That might tend to tell you've got perhaps some kind of seagoing past for some of those families. Hey, that reminds me, coming up later, we've got a little note about McCarthy performing something for Obama. I wonder what that was. But right now, we'll just take one quick little look here. The Freemaster Index search of Irish names finds Byrne, spelled B-Y, with 200 listings, which tells you a very numerous name. And that includes a few examples we'll pick here. The Byrnes of Wicklow, which are well known. They're found in Pinner's Survey and several other sources. The Galloglass O'Byrnes, that'd be sort of like mercenary O'Byrnes. They're found in the fall of Irish chiefs and clans. And O'Byrne's Country, and M. O'Byrne and L. O'Byrne, and a few other Byrne references are found in the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters. And the Queen's O'Byrne is found mentioned in County Kildare, Wicklow, and Carlow genealogy book. And you got Thomas F. Byrne and Reverend William Byrne, both of their obituaries in the Journal of the American Irish Historical Society. All this is listed in my blog for details. And you'll find an O'Byrne and King James Irish Army list. And you're going to find Byrne and O'Byrnes in Surnames of Ireland with 200 family location maps in it. Boy, oh boy, that'll help anybody out, won't it? Well, now it's time we take a break and move on to the websites of the week. Hey, here we go. The first website of the week is going to be the O'Byrne Files, History, Genealogy, and even Ballads of the O'Byrne. That's pretty interesting. That link is going to be on my blog. It's at homepage.eriecom.net. And then a bunch of other letters there. We'll just say go to that blog. Number two, you can search a database of those who arrived in New York during the famine from Ireland, and that's good. That's at a government website, so the archive. So just go to the blog and click on that. Number three, Irish convicts and prisoners to Australia and New South Wales, 1788 to 1836. That's online. You can do a quick little search, and we've all got some convicts and prisoners somewhere in our family tree. Number four, the Irish video of the day is going to be Return to Irish Roots 1984 Part 1, and that's the very first series of trips we took in the 1980s. I took a few groups over there just to get things started, and my nephew was just I think he'd just gotten into college, and he was all excited, and he brought along I think it was a tape camera. We had to make it with videotape back then, so we let it degrade for 10 or 20 years, and then we had it converted into digital, and what remains of that beautiful tape, we've got up, and we put it on YouTube, and we're putting it on our page, and just in case you want a little nostalgia, that's what it was for me. Well, boy, that does it for the videos and whatnot, so we're going to move right on to Curious News and Notes. Well, number one, Eddie Doyle, and he might be the man Sam Malone was modeled after, or vice versa, for the TV series Cheers, if you remember that. That was a long-running show with a lot of laughs. And the fellow they modeled Sam Malone after, the bartender, it says here it was Eddie Doyle, and he outlasted the TV show by a long shot, but he just lost his job at the Ball and Finch Bar. Read more about it in the Irish World. I got a link on the blog. Number two, hailing from Dripsey, County Cork, Maggie McCarthy is a skilled dancer and fiddler. And you know what? She can do them both at the same time. And she's going to be playing and dancing at the White House for this year's St. Patrick's Day celebrations. and performing for the president himself. Read more about it in the Irish Times, link on my blog. Number 3, Tom Quirk. Now, he claims to have the very cheapest pint of beer or of Guinness in Ireland, and it's at his pub in Tralee, County Kerry. I've been to Tralee. That's a nice town. Nice library there. Matter of fact, the county library's there. If you're out doing some research, it's a good place to stop. And, well, how does he do it? How does he keep that price down? Well, he says he cuts things out like music, and his business is now climbing back to the former levels it used to be before the economic decline set in. Read more about that in theindependent.ie. Got the link on my blog. Number 4, the ladies might be more comfortable in a cab with female drivers. So that's just the idea behind Angel Cabs. And, you know, they're now going to use pink license plates, they say, to advertise that fact. They've got 12 female drivers, and they're looking for more. So just be ready for that. If you're visiting Dublin, you've got some cars over there with pink license plates and female drivers, and I hope that bodes well for all of us crossing the street. Maybe that had something to do with the idea that they're shutting down traffic in the middle of the center city there, and they're just going to have walking traffic only. Well, you never know. Number 5. Hey, here's a good one. Amateur astronomer. Well, I think he was amateur. He might be a pro. David Grinnan will get to name the asteroid that he recently discovered. And I tell you what, it's only 224 million kilometers from Earth. That's at the time he spotted it, and he reported it just on a hunch. He thought that was an awful dark object and might not have been picked up before. So he's going to have fun with that. I wonder if he'll call that the Grinnan meteor or the Grinnan asteroid. I don't know. Well, you can read more about that in the examiner.ie. Got a link on my blog. And number 6, let's start winding it up here. You know, they've just aired a Chicago Irish documentary on WTTW, Channel 11. I was reading about that in the Irish paper. And it traces the history of Irish immigrants from their earliest arrivals in Chicago to dig the Illinois and Michigan Canal and the building of Old St. Pat's Church. You know what? Old St. Pat's Church was built in 1,000 cities in America, I think, and the building of an enduring political machine that we all remember stories about. And John Cullerton, who during the course of the film became president of the state Senate, talks about his family's long involvement in politics, going all the way back to his uncle, Alderman Ed Foxy Cullerton. And you know what they say he told the voters? And this might be one of the most honest politicians I've seen, especially with what we've got going on in recent years up in our federal government. Boy, you got washer loads full of money being discovered and freezer loads full of money. He said, no, I don't care. I'm not resigning. So, okay. But here's what he said. He said, don't vote for my opponent. He's never run before. And if he gets in here, he'll steal you blind. I've been here for 8 years, and I already have enough money. Well, what a sad commentary that is. You can read more about that in the post-tribune.com, post-trib.com. Got the link on my blog. And just one more note, you know, I reported a couple of weeks ago that Ryanair, I even saw the little video, put it on my blog there. Ryanair said that they were thinking about charging money to use the toilet facilities on the airplanes right in mid-flight. But, you know, they came out this week and announced that it was all a cheap publicity stunt. Can you imagine that coming from an Irishman? Well. It's a good thing you got me here reporting on it, folks, because I'm sure you were all getting sort of worried about that. Well, you know what? That does it. We're about on time here. Remember to send your comments by clicking the contact link on our webpage at irishroots.com or send by mail to our American address, the Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri 64116. Leave your message or report on things in your part of the world when you call my phone recorder at 816-256-3360. Skype me at Irish Roots Cafe. Find me on MySpace at Irish Roots Cafe. And find me on Facebook at Mike OLaughlin. That's O''LAUGHLIN. And remember that members foot the bill, so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away!